Hello viewers, welcome to another edition of the Wiring Industry Personality Profile Series. This is a program that seeks to bring to fore those who we believe are making changes in the industry positively, and they are getting the new trends and latest technologies in there. Today we are privileged to have Dr. Coffin, the Regional Manager of West Africa for Piésold Consulting. And as is usual, we want people to know who he is and then get a bit out of his experience. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. I'm honored that you consider me and Piésold leaders in the industry, and I think we have a lot to offer for the things that you're discussing now, and it's truly my privilege to be here. So thank you again.
Sure. We want you to tell us a bit about yourself. How you got into the industry?
Sure. My background was in the U.S., in the state of Colorado mostly, where I attended university originally as a structural engineer, actually. And I, most of the way through university, took a soils lab course. And I just absolutely fell in love with soils and lab work and all of the various intricacies of soils engineering. So once I had one course down, I didn't stop and kept studying through a master's degree and a doctorate degree. And my doctoral PhD is actually on consolidation theory of soft soils. So tailings is very specific, and I was able to work with Piésold through the end of my school and stayed on full time. I worked in Denver, Colorado in the US for 10 years, where I was able to work on projects all over the world. I've worked in Alaska, Canada, the US, Mexico, Peru, Chile, the DRC, Namibia, Nigeria, Ghana, obviously, even while I was in the US, and some other places in West Africa and a little bit in Europe and in the Middle East as well. So I've been here in Ghana for just over 18 months, and finally feel like I'm getting the knack of the area and getting used to the heat, certainly.
Yes.
Back home right now, I just got a message from someone that said that they have a few inches of snow on the ground, and so here it's quite warm.
Where did you think you were going? I mean, when your goal started, were you actually looking at coming this far?
That's a great question. I really can't say where I thought I was going when I started out. I was just loving what I was doing. Most of my background has been in analytics, so engineering, modeling, a bit of design work. I certainly never thought that I would be managing an office and responsible for a region like West Africa. But it's an honor to have the opportunity, and the company has supported me and my development, and we're here now. And so as unbelievable as it is, it's certainly a great opportunity.
You've actually left great years behind. Looking back, what do you think will be or sell off for most of your important highlights?
I would have to say that the most important things that I have done has actually been the opportunities I've had to work with other people. The regional manager in the US is a gentleman by the name of Tom Kerr, who has been one of the biggest influences on my development as an engineer. His ability to see problems and solve them is the best in the world, in my opinion. So I've certainly got a lot from him. In the opportunities that I've had, a lot of them revolve around working with other staff that we have and clients that we have worldwide. Being able to go to Canada in the middle of the winter when we have to do some drilling to figure out what's wrong with the facility, and meeting clients who are willing to stand out in very cold temperatures with us -40 was the coldest I've been out in, and having clients who are invested in the problems and invested in the projects. And really the people here in Ghana, the staff we have here is top notch, and their willingness to bring me in as a family, and the culture here is absolutely second to none. The people both in the office, but also nationwide is unbelievable, and they have had a huge impact on me even in 18 months.
What's actually giving you inspiration about that? Like I said, you have so many great years behind. What's been inspiring you?
Oh, the inspiration has certainly been just constantly wanting to improve. Constantly wanting to improve the products that Piésold presents, and constantly wanting to improve myself. Even though I sit as a regional manager, I find that to be a title position. It's important for me every day to continue improving and to helping those around me improve. Whether it's through teaching how to use software, giving people some of my background knowledge on analytics and modeling, whether it be helping clients solve problems, whether it's design problems, permitting issues, really helping those around me. My biggest thrill in life is watching those around me succeed. And I certainly have the opportunity to do that in this position in Ghana. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is the opportunity to see someone I'm working with or working for succeed. Because if they succeed, I consider myself to be successful.
Instead of the industry globally, now looking back, have we seen any standards, improvement in standards, by way of technology, by way of professionalism?
I think so. The state of the industry globally is constantly evolving. We have unfortunate incidents like the dam failure at Samarco was the most recent of catastrophic failure, where we had a true loss of life, and it's a terrible reminder that the things that we do as consultants matter. What we do isn't just to appease a client, it isn't just to appease the regulators. We literally are designing facilities that have people's lives at stake. And it's a sobering experience, but it does provide us an opportunity to make sure that the standards are appropriate, that the designs and the operations of these facilities are being monitored by the right people and at the right intervals, and making sure that we're doing the right things. And with those, we do see steps forward in regulations. We do see steps forward in design technologies and in regulatory requirements.
Viewers, we're having a close and personal chat with Dr. Jeff Coffin, the regional manager, Africa at Piésold, South Africa. Jeff believes that as professionals, we need to look for opportunities to work with great teachers and engineers. We also need to be happy to see people we are working with improve, move on by way of personal and professional development. And then as professionals, we need to constantly strive towards personal improvement. Jeff, tailings now.
Sure.
Latest enhancements.
Tailings dams enhancements, that's a very tough question, because tailings dams, one of the things I love about geotechnical engineering in our industry is no tailings dam is the same. Whether they're in Ghana, whether they're in Alaska, whether they're in South Africa, Australia, Europe, even if they're next door to each other. In Ghana, in the western region, for instance, we have mines that are within 30 kilometers of each other. And their dams can be very different because of different operational needs. They can be very different because of different local geology, local topography, and every day is different, and every embankment is different. But as we talk about technologies in tailings dams, what we're seeing globally is a bit more focus on characterization of materials, a bit more focus on improved modeling and design of the tailings facilities to reduce some of the conservatism, not to make them less safe, but to understand them better. And instead of making very conservative assumptions and having high factors of safety, for instance, for slope stability, what we're seeing is we're going to more numerical modeling. And we're going to more detailed laboratory evaluations of things like shear strength. But not only shear strength, but shear behavior. How do these materials act after you've placed them? So that's on the dams side of it, is really more in a design technology advancement. Where we're seeing advancements in tailings management is much more on the operations and processing side. We're starting to see things like filtered tailings facilities, which I gave a presentation on the YM Sunday evening chats a while ago. We're also seeing things like paste backfill and underground works, where we reprocess tailings, we put a cement or a binder in them, and actually inject them back underground so that all of that rock that we've taken out with underground mining operations, we're replacing them to restabilize the earth that we've impacted. It also has the benefit of demobilizing some of the geochemical constituents. When we put these things back underground, we have the opportunity of taking some of these metals that are environmentally unfriendly. We bind them actually with the concrete or other additives so that they go back and they become a very benign, very similar to the host rock again. We're also seeing more use of tailings thickeners. So we're sending less water out to tailings facility and reusing more water in the process plant. So the benefits there is less environmental impact due to the water ponding in the tailings facility, but also less impact because we don't have to draw as much fresh water from, say, a stream or a pond. So we're starting to see a bit more harmony between the environmental efficiencies as well as the operational efficiencies, which are making our operations less impactful to the environment. And we're actually starting to see that that's reducing our overall costs. Those used to be seen as conflicting items, but now we're seeing those harmonies come together and become integrated and really play off one another to reduce the costs of a lot of these mining operations.
And that's okay, I mean, very good, especially towards sustainability of the industry. The question is, what do you think is really lacking in the industry as far as professionalism is concerned?
I would say worldwide, it's a harmony between the various components of the life cycle of a mine. And by that I mean a life cycle of a mine starts off as a concept by an owner. Is there an opportunity for a mine here? Then we go in and we start doing some engineering studies. Okay? And then we go through and we do a design. Currently we go through all of these studies and we get through all of this design phase before we interact with, say, the regulators, the landowners, the stakeholders, the downstream communities. We do all of this work before we start interacting with these people. And then they become a stage gate. They become a yes or no. Where we see the most, and that goes through the entire process. During operations, we start operating and maybe we have more involvement. Then we go into closure, and once we have the closure documents from the regulators, are we fulfilling our obligations to the community? And more importantly, is the community expressing their desires? And are they given the opportunity to engage? And so what I would like to see, and where we find our projects to be the most successful, is where all of these stakeholders form a community around the project. We engage regulators and community early in the project, so everybody's aware of maybe technologies that we're thinking about, or trade-offs that we're considering, so that we can get the best product for everybody really engaging all of these stakeholders so that there aren't any surprises down the road. We don't have a regulator who changes a requirement once we've already done these studies.
Yeah.
We don't have an owner who goes through and does all of these studies with one philosophy on water management, and then as soon as a tailings facility starts operating, changes their philosophy, which surprises the regulator or surprises the design engineer. It's this community feeling that I think we really owe it to ourselves to start developing. Instead of looking at these as maybe a bit confrontational relationships, start integrating and start finding those opportunities to synergize within the various stakeholders.
And talking about that, what are your thoughts on street safety issues?
I think
is it hurting or helping the business?
I think at the end of the day, our number one resource isn't what's being extracted from the ground. Our number one resource is our people. And if we don't keep them safe and give them the tools that they need to be safe, we're only looking for problems.
That's a fact.
And as safety standards are developing, unfortunately, there is an economic burden that's associated with them. But at the end of the day, it's pennies on the dollar for the investment in the people that we have working for us. And I say that worldwide. The industry is growing towards a very safety-oriented focus, and Piésold is the same. We are rolling out a global focus on safety and a global push for our clients to join us in those efforts to keep our people on site safe, to keep their people on site safe, because at the end of the day, if we don't have our people and if they're not safe and comfortable and productive, we don't have a business.
Talking about that, I was just looking at this. I did look at a bit about your practices in tailings management, and then I wanted to go a bit further. Your current role, what are you seeking to achieve towards sustainability of the industry?
I think it's my current role in sustainable advancements in sustainability, of sustainability in the industry is really in a regional sense, is continuing to develop our staff and continuing to improve the people that we work with.
Yeah.
And so what that entails is both teaching and learning local custom and local regulation. Because every regulation is different, and what may work here may not work somewhere else.
Exactly.
And you can't bring a standard from Brazil, for instance, to Ghana and assume that it's appropriate, because it likely isn't. And so, but at the same time, what they're doing in Chile and in Peru or in Mexico, we can learn something from it. We don't have to take everything, but what we should do is we should be mining out the information and taking the good stuff and identifying the things that maybe don't translate correctly. And my current role, that is teaching technologies to the staff that we might not currently have here, but also learning technologies that I didn't know, learning modeling software that I didn't know. So that I can utilize that to make our projects better, to make our clients' projects better, which in turn makes our industry safer. It really makes our industry more sustainable, less long-term impact on the environment, and so that's bringing ideas as well, filtered tailings, reprocessing of tailings, underground paste backfill, those kinds of things that we don't see a lot in West Africa, but maybe there's a great opportunity for them. And it's only in pushing some of the conventional knowledge and pushing the boundaries of the conventional knowledge that we can really find better solutions for the local areas. So as a company, that's our approach always, everywhere we work, is let's take our global experience and let's find out what works at the local level.
Yes.
And let's push the local understanding and take from the local understanding to push our global experience. Because the things I learned here, I can use in places like Brazil. I can use in places like Australia. And so it's really this give and take mentality that we really push as a corporate entity, and that I buy into and believe wholeheartedly.
I'm glad we having a close and personal chat with Jeff Collins, Coffin, the regional manager, West Africa for Piésold Consulting. It's been an interesting chat, and Jeff believes as professionals we need to improve our teamwork personality. Let's work as a team and family. And then also he will want to see more community stakeholder engagement, especially at the start or beginning of operations, rather than the community being there at the later stage of operations. Jeff, you run a very tight schedule. I'm just wondering how you're able to manage between field work and then operations at the office as well.
It's a big challenge, I'll tell you. I'm probably in and out of the office once every week. I'm usually gone a few days every week. And the biggest thing is the staff here. Certainly is top-notch, and they don't need me to be here 24/7 for them to be operating and them to be moving forward. And I find that in our role it's important for us to see the things that we're operating, to see the things that we're designing, to have our hands on the dirt, on the ground, and that's something that I can provide our clients. As well as when you get to see things on site, you don't always you start to better understand what questions need to be asked, not necessarily what questions are being asked. And it gives me an opportunity to provide our clients maybe a more thorough solution, or an alternative that they hadn't thought of that may provide additional benefits beyond what they're asking for. It may save them money, it may provide them an opportunity to increase environmental protections. And you don't get that from sitting in the office. But here I've got an incredible group of people that I work with. I am blessed to be the regional manager, but I consider that to be a title. And we all work together. I have clients in this office as much as I have clients outside of this office, and so if I don't keep them happy and keep them motivated, then our work outside of this office is unimportant.
The recent talk, going back to tailings management, has been the use of liners, clay and synthetic liners. I think there's been a huge issue with that. Looking forward into the future, what do you think? And vis-a-vis looking back from the experience we've had with the use of these liners.
Sure.
What do you think we should be looking at going forward?
You put me on the spot, huh? Okay. Every technology has a time and place.
Yes.
There is not one solution for all problems, and that goes for liners as well. If there is opportunities to use a compacted soil liner, if our, say, geochemistry is relatively benign, if our tailings are non-acid generating, one of the nice things in Ghana is much of our gold processing, for instance, is very low cyanide consuming, so very low cyanide going out to a tailings facility. If we're in somewhere that has a much higher cyanide consumption and we're sending a lot of cyanide out to the tailings facility, we may need to look at additional lining options, and that could be a geomembrane, HDPE or LLDPE geomembrane. It could be something like a geosynthetic clay line, which is a layer of bentonite that's actually placed between two geotextiles. It could be something called a bituminous geomembrane. It's not something that's often used in this region because it's fairly heat sensitive, but it's a geotextile that's impregnated with bitumen.
Okay.
And so it's a very robust lining system that's great for cold regions. It's great for things like heap leach pads that have a very hard rock that goes adjacent to them. We might need to think about things like full leak detection, like you would see in a landfill. If we get into something that maybe has very high cadmium or very high selenium concentrations, some of these very, very aggressive and very environmentally damaging elements. So the short answer to the question is really it depends. Every liner system has a right use, and more importantly, every project has a best available practice for the liner, and what we use in one area might not be appropriate for another, or might not be necessary for another. Certainly, if we have a very clay-rich source available, or if we have a very low hydraulic conductivity soil under our tailings facility, the inclusion of a geomembrane might not actually provide us much benefit, because the underlying materials are so thick and so low hydraulic conductivity. The incremental benefit of adding the geomembrane might not be there. It may just be extraneous construction that doesn't actually provide us a lot of benefit. If, on the other hand, we have an area that has very high hydraulic conductivity materials, in West Africa we have a lot of residual soil, so we don't typically have that condition. But say in the western US, very arid, very sandy conditions, we don't have a lot of clay, we don't have a lot of soils, we have gravels and rock, and we have sands. In those types of conditions, a geomembrane might be necessary to achieve our environmental compliance requirements. So it really just depends.
And then, what is it about you that will surprise our viewers?
Well, I would say most of the viewers probably know very little about me, so I guess a few things. While I was in college, I paid for much of my college education by selling T-shirts, working as a janitor, and coaching a collegiate triathlon team. So those were my three streams of income to pay for the many years of college. Very different from engineering, but important for life lessons.
At this stage, what would you want to say to industry professionals and those up and coming, those in school, universities, especially towards industry sustainability?
Keep thinking outside the box. Keep thinking and pushing conventional knowledge. Keep looking at technologies that are emerging. Again, there is no a silver bullet, as they say, for tailings management, for waste rock management, for water management. But what we can do is keep looking at the emerging technologies and evaluating what components of them can we learn from, what components of them can we use to solve the problem for this project. No tailings facility is the same. No tailings facility should be designed like the last one we built. We can always get better. And the only way we can get better is if we push ourselves and if we continue looking for the next opportunity to improve.
What's next for you? I mean, looking at you exploring further fields.
Tailings. Sure. What's next for me? I don't know that I can think that far out. What's next for me is a couple site visits through the next few weeks. Spend Christmas with my family, my beautiful wife and two beautiful daughters. And if I get through the new year, I'll be able to think about what's next. As a company like Piesold, what's next is again really just looking for new opportunities to improve. We're trying to bring some things to the region that aren't currently here in the way of technologies, in the way of concepts. And one of those is certainly working with industry to open our eyes a little bit and open our minds to technologies that maybe aren't being used here as thoroughly as they are in other places. Sometimes we don't need technology, you know, and that's fine. But sometimes it can be beneficial to use things in monitoring, for instance, vibrating wire piezometers versus standpipe piezometers, pit wall radar, pit wall scanning technologies. We're seeing it a lot more, and we love that those types of things are coming because it does increase our safety. It reduces our risks, and the mine's risks are my risks directly. So I think that's what's next, is just constantly pushing for improvement.
We're still having a close and personal chat with Jeff Coffin, the regional manager of West African Piésold. He believes that as a team leader, you need to always create, in fact, that's the best available tool you have, create an enabling environment where the professionals will be happy and feel motivated to work to their utmost. He also thinks as professionals we need to keep thinking outside the box. Let's look and chase emerging technologies, since your best yesterday is not going to be your best tomorrow. Jeff, given the opportunity, would you want to still, in fact, would you want to still go back and do geotech?
I wouldn't change a thing, Lawrence. I wouldn't. The opportunities I've had to travel and see different places in the world, the people that I have met throughout those travels, the people that I've had the opportunity to work with and for, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm somebody who, there are certainly mornings where I wake up tired, but as soon as I'm on my way to work, I start really getting revved up to help and to learn and to teach and to develop and to look for opportunities. I wouldn't change it for the world.
It's been nice having you.
Thank you very much.